When it comes to Dave Ramsey, I love the methodology behind the baby steps, and that is what we're going to be looking at today, guys. Giving you my take on them and kind of the ideal way that I kind of use them myself as a tool or a guide when it comes to the financial counseling and when it also comes to personal finance, which I absolutely love. But baby step number one, of course, save $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. That is right, guys. This is not your fully funded emergency, and this is a step that I absolutely 100% wholehearted agree with, because if you can save a little bit and if you start the concept of saving, even if it is automated, even if it is a small amount, $25, $50, $100 a month, you are going to start on the pathway to actually being able to save funds. In addition, if something does happen outside of the ordinary, you're not going right back to borrowing. If your car has a flat tire, unexpected medical expense, an emergency, you can cover small emergencies with what you have in this starter emergency fund. And again, this is not the full point of building an emergency fund. This is just getting a backup plan to really get you started thinking in the mindset of saving money, which again is kind of the very basics when it comes to the financial education and the financial counseling, financial literacy, and financial freedom, guys. It is really the fundamental building blocks that we grow on. Now, number two, paying off the debt. Now, this I do agree with. Again, baby step number two, wholeheartedly, accept the house. That is the one that is going to be left out of this equation. Now, he focuses on the debt snowball. Now, the debt snowball essentially lists all of your debts. You are going from the lowest balance to the highest balance. This is the psychological factor that you can really pay it off faster. So if you're paying every single extra penny to that lowest debt, let's say you owe $500 on a credit card, you're going to see that $500 knocked out pretty quick if you're really fundamentally focused in this and the mindset is there to pay off the debt and you want to eliminate the debt. So during the debt elimination process, it is also about not accumulating new debt. It really defeats the purpose of going through this program or following these baby steps if you're just accumulating new debt on every single corner. Now, with the debt snowball, personally, I use the debt avalanche, so it is a little bit of a different method looking at this. Doesn't take into the psychological factor of paying off and eliminating the debt, but it does instead with the debt avalanche method. It goes from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate, meaning that every single penny you have to repay debt is going to go to your absolute highest interest rate. Now, with this method, it does work incredibly well, similar to the debt snowball. However, mathematically, you will save a lot more money if you are doing the avalanche method versus the snowball method. But the snowball method is going to financially make sense when it comes to the psychological factor of investing and the debt elimination. The baby step number three covers saving 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. Now, to know, and you cannot really BS yourself, guys, when it comes to 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund, you need a number in mind. And again, this is going to come for the monthly budget. Add up exactly what you have in the budget. Look what you pay in a 30-day period. Go ahead and times that by 3, times that by 6. Right now, I really recommend going on kind of the heavier side of this when it comes to baby step 3, guys. So looking at possibly running about the 5 to 6 months. The reason is there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. There's a lot of uncertainty in the job market with raising rate environment. There are a lot of unpredictables where I would rather have the buffer of 5 to 6 months of an emergency fund versus really running it lean at the 3 months that is recommended. Baby step number 3, absolutely 100% agree with saving the emergency fund. This is really, and also with the emergency fund though, you want to take it, you want to put this money into a high yield savings account. You want to put it into something that is going to keep it liquid, but it is going to yield you a pretty decent return. There's a lot of high yield savings accounts that are 5% plus return right now. So if you're looking at 5 to 6 months of an investment into that emergency fund, you might have $20,000 or $30,000 set aside depending on your situation. And 5% on 20 or 30 grand is a pretty decent return, really building it up if you're not using those funds. And again, keeping them liquid is very important. Now, baby step 4, investing 15% of your household income. This again is kind of a point where I agree with it, but I think it needs to be 15% of each individual's income. So for instance, I put away 15% of my income. My wife puts away 15% of her income. It is not a joint doing, the 7.5% each. And also, this is very important when it comes to a match. If you have an employer match, some of them have a pretty decent match. make sure that you're getting the match, but the goal is 15%. And again, I really wouldn't go with the household income for retirement because situations can change incredibly. Let's say you go through a divorce, a separation, a spouse dies, anything of that nature. The 15% gets cut in half very, very fast. Now, again, as a buffer in looking how much money people do need in retirement, average retiree has about $180,000 in retirement, which is not enough to really make it through retirement without the reliance of Social Security, a part-time job, a side income. There's going to be something short of saving more money, honestly, during your working years. That's why I recommend 15% for you, 15% for your spouse. If you are dual income, guys, putting away the 15% now is going to benefit you for the rest of your life. Number 5, saving for the child's fund. This is very important. And there also are a lot of changes to the 529 plans. And I know he also talks about the education savings accounts. 529 plans are huge. They are seeing an overhaul in 2024, which is going to focus on you can actually use that 529 plan up to $35,000 of that plan, if it is unused for college expenses, can actually transfer over to you as a Roth IRA. That is right, guys. It is going to be a tax-free Roth IRA. When you're putting money in here, it's a massive incentive to go ahead and put money in this fund, at least the bare minimum of that $35,000. Now remember, at $35,000, that is what transfers if the college fund is not being used. But looking at a child, if you have 17, 18 years of a growth factor, most of the 529 plans can be invested in the market, which means as you're making contributions in there, similar to your IRAs, similar to the 401k plans, making sure that you're building these up and setting money aside. And ultimately, again, if it is not used for college, you do have a Roth IRA right there. Now, baby step number 6 is paying off your home early. This one I agree with to a point. So I know it's kind of on the fence with, do I invest? Do I pay off the mortgage? For me personally, I went with a blended approach. If you guys have seen the other video. So what I do is I put an extra $1,000 towards our mortgage. So we are paying off the home early. In addition, every single thing else I am putting towards an investment account. So I do zero-based budgeting, which means that I get paid X amount of money minus all of my expenses, leaves me a figure at the bottom. That is what goes into the paying off the house early, but that is also what goes into an investment account. Now, the logic behind this, and really the reason behind this, guys, is I could pay off my home a little bit earlier, but we're at a just over 2% for the house. So when I look at my, VOO, my investment portfolio that I shared with you guys over at M1 Finance, I am roughly at about 16% this year. And I know it's really tough. Even looking at last year, we were down considerable, but I am doing dollar cost averaging with what is left outside above and beyond kind of what we're putting that extra money towards the mortgage every month. So I'm taking kind of the two-stage approach. It isn't going all in the investment account with every single penny. It is not going all in on baby step number 6, paying off the home early with every penny that is going into the house. Now, ultimately, again, you could kind of see a couple trade-offs with this. With paying off the home early, of course, you're eliminating the home and you're eliminating that monthly liability. But even paying that off would free up about $1,000 of cash flow, which again, cash flow is not really the big concern right now. It is about seeing some decent returns and also paying off that home early. Taking a 30-year mortgage, putting some extra money into it, we'll pay it off in roughly 7 years instead of the 30-year, again, just based on the principal and making those principal payments. We have paid it off incredibly fast. So again, there's kind of a mixed approach here, again, with this baby step, really not following it 100%, but getting it kind of split because the mortgage rate, just like 64% of Americans, is incredibly low. And the last one, of course, build wealth and give. One of the biggest things, guys, is once you have all of your debt paid off, giving back to individuals, giving back to churches, supporting it. It is really, really beneficial, especially when you're building the wealth and you have the money to do it. Now, in addition, guys, I know Dave Ramsey really does not like the debt and getting into debt. Wholeheartedly, I do agree with him in his entirety. However, you're going to have to find a way, and honestly, it is going to be through credit cards. And I know as much as he dislikes credit cards, you need something to keep your credit reports open and active, which means you could have a card, you could use it for one single expense. Let's say you just focus on only using that card for gas. Every 2 weeks you pay it off, so you are carrying zero debt. And I know he always says that rewards cards never made anyone a millionaire. That's true, very true. But if there comes a point where you do need to get a mortgage, you do need to get a new vehicle, you do need to access any of that debt. If you do not have a credit score, you're going to find out really quick that you're paying an exponential amount for that debt if it is something that is really above and beyond what you can pay cash for. Sorry guys, wanted to cover these guys, and again, I get a lot of questions being in the financial institutions about the baby steps. Dave Ramsey, have I heard about him? Yes, I followed him for years. Absolutely love the content that he puts out. Also with Rachel Cruz, very, very interesting channel. So check out both of those guys, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.